Right. We're live. Wow. Right, I'm live. Welcome to my weekly 10. And I've got a special show tonight, slightly longer than normal, because I'm inviting one of my clients on to talk about what we actually do together. And I've had a lot of people wonder how this all works in terms of the coaching process that I work one-to-one with people over a 6-month period. So I thought it would be a good idea to have someone on to talk about that, so that anybody who is thinking about actually getting involved and hiring a coach at some point will have their questions answered a little bit. So I'm going to bring my guest on tonight, the wonderful Mel Cullen, and she's going to chat to me about her experience of working with me. We've been working with each other for about 4 months now, and here we are. So I'm going to bring you on, Mel. Let me just work out how to do that. There we go. Here we go. Welcome to my Weekly 10 show. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. So yeah, we've had a chat before we've gone live anyway, so people won't know that, but we've had a little chat about what we're going to talk about and so on. So we've got a rough idea. Getting rid of all the nerves and stuff like this. This is the first time I've done this broadcast on a stream. It's going live on YouTube, but it's going live on LinkedIn at the same time as it's going live on my Facebook page. So this is all new to me, and it's new to you. So yeah, we're going to jump straight in and start talking about what we're going to talk about tonight, really. And so, as I've just said, we've been working together for now several months, during which time you've experienced some major changes in your life. So tell me, before you actually started working with me, you were thinking about it for a while before you took the plunge and actually went ahead and signed up with me. And that was a while. And so tell me, what do you think it was that held you back when you first were thinking about getting involved and hiring a coach? What do you think it was that held you back at that point from signing up and not working with me sooner?
I tell you, I wish I had started working with you sooner, to be honest. But in terms of what was holding me back, I knew that I always wanted to do it. I knew that it was something that I needed to do. I guess I was just holding myself back, mainly because I didn't have the money to do it. Right. And that was frustrating for me, because I knew that I needed to do something to invest in myself in order for me to progress. But the money side of things was holding me back. Not going to lie, you know that. We spoke about it on numerous occasions. So yeah, and I suppose just sort of like also like delving into the unknown, like, would it actually work? If I'm going to get all this money, and then what if it doesn't work? And yeah, so basically that was all it was.
No, and it's normal again for most people, and I think this is one of the reasons why I wanted to do tonight's show, is because I think anybody, when we're going into the unknown and we don't necessarily know what to expect of a situation, we tell ourselves certain stories about it, and we overthink it, and we question it, and we come up with doubts and worries and reasons why we can't do it and reasons why it won't work. And obviously money's a big factor for a lot of people. And if you're investing in something and you're not 100% certain if it's going to work, you're not going to rush to do it, are you? And I think that's one of the reasons why so many of us hold ourselves back when it comes to actually doing something like this and moving ourselves forward, because we talk ourselves out of it, basically. So, before you actually did start working with me, did you have any expectations about what it might be like? And if so, what were those expectations? Were they accurate?
To be honest with you, I wasn't quite sure what to expect. I just knew that I had to do something in order to help me move forward in my life. I didn't know what was going to be involved. I kind of had sort of a bit of background knowledge through just reading up on it myself and through various conversations with you, but I actually didn't know what to fully expect once I got involved in it. For me, in my head, it was just like, I need to get out of this mess. I need to do something, because I've got this side of the brain saying this thing, this side saying that thing, and it just wanted to explode. So I did not know what to expect at all. And, and sometimes there were parts of me that thought, well, am I expecting too much from it? Am I expecting it to be completely like, okay, I'm done now, off we go, I'm better now, see ya,
Exactly.
You know,
I mean,
again, go
that's
on.
true. I mean, I think a lot of us, I mean, especially I've had it before where someone said to me in the past, because I run I do 6 months now, but it used to be 4 or 5 months, as you well know. And I've had people say, so what am I fixed in that 4 months? Like, you know, like it's a quick fix program. Well, it isn't, as you well know, it's an ongoing thing. You know,
Yeah,
we can learn a new way of doing things like anything in life. But if you don't practice it, you don't do it daily and regularly and actually commit to working on yourself daily,
yeah,
then you don't move forward, do you? I mean, you stay
no.
still. It's like anything you learn. If you can learn it, you can read a book, but if you forget it 10 minutes later, you're not going to move forward and put it into
And that's
practice.
just it. I've read so many books on, like, you know, on various different topics, more like, you know, sort of self-help type books.
Yeah,
And they just don't, they sink in at the time. But then once you finish reading it, you
forget
forget
it.
it, and
Yeah,
then you go back to your way of life and nothing's changed.
this
And
is
it's
true.
just like, oh, well, that was a waste of 10 quid for them.
But
You
I
know?
think again, this is one of the factors why people hire coaches is because it's the accountability
Yeah,
factor as well. Because it's one thing learning something, which is fine, but it's actually practicing it. And a coach helps you stay accountable and actually put this stuff into practice day on, day out. And I
yeah,
think that's obviously one of the factors why people actually go ahead and invest in such a process. So, you know, when you were looking at it from the outside in, you know, you just said there, obviously you're focusing on the cost, which is normal for anyone to do. But do you think you're able to see the true value of the process at that point? Or was it something you were more focused only on the financial cost of it?
to be honest with you, I was still focused on the financial costs, and no, I say that now,
Yeah.
but you don't actually see the real value until you're doing it. And I think that's just a chance you have to take with yourself.
Yeah.
If you got to, in order for you to take this step, you've got to really, really want to do something to change.
Yeah, okay.
And you know, and that's what I wanted. That's, you know, that's all. I just wanted to become a better version of myself and get outside of my own head.
You've certainly done that.
And
Yeah.
I mean, I can't even begin to explain to you the things that go on inside my head. Even still now, I do, but I manage it a bit differently
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
But you know, so the value has become invaluable.
Yeah, this is
Which,
true, and it's
yeah,
and you're right. I mean,
yeah,
you know, I mean, our heads are all like this. I mean, let's face it, we're human beings, but so having that help to sort of unjumble our minds and put it into a bit more normality, so that we can actually choose how we want to think, how we want to feel, how we
yeah.
want to act, is invaluable, really, when we want to create something in our lives. So, describe to me some of the reasons why you actually finally chose to commit working with me in the end, because, like you said, you were up and down. You knew that you had to do something. But
Yeah.
you were talking yourself out of it for whatever reason. And what was it that actually finally led you to take action?
I'd had enough of myself, basically.
Right. Okay.
I was feeling physically, mentally drained. As you know, I work in a quite a job that demands a lot from me. Like, it's a long hours, it's target driven, and you know, I was working such long hours and feeling so tired and drained. What and not hitting my targets because I wasn't being productive, and I just didn't believe that anything was going to work out for me. And you know, I was just feeling sorry for myself, and like, right, victim, as you say, or as the coaching teaches you can be in kind of. I'm looking back now, I was in victim mode. And
Yeah.
you know, and I just couldn't pull myself out of it. I couldn't see the wood for the trees, Mark, as you know. And I was at the point of I was just like working, sleeping, working all these hours and not getting anywhere. And I just thought, something has got to shift in me
Yeah.
in order to make this work.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, you know, yes, the money was a factor for me, but you know, and I kept thinking to myself, oh, I could be spending that money on other things that are important, that need paying for, or this, that, and the other. But what's more important than your own mental health and your
It's
own
so true.
personal progression?
Yeah,
And
and without
that
that, you're not moving forward in any area, really. I mean, we can tell ourselves that. I mean, so often I think people try and fix their problems in their life outwardly
yeah,
before they try and fix themselves, which is really a cockeyed way of doing it. Because if you fix yourself first, or not fix yourself because we're not broken, but work
yeah,
on yourself first, the other stuff around us tends to sort itself out too. And we always tell ourselves, well, I'll sort myself out later, but I need to sort that out first, or this out first, get that job, sort my relationships out, or whatever it may be, in order to move forward. But how often does that actually, transpire to actually turn out? Because we're always trying to fix things from the same perspectives that caused those problems in the first place.
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
for people who are actually unaware of, what was involved in the process and the program that I run, a core energy coaching process. Looking on the inside from the outside in, you're not going to know this stuff straight away. So are you able to describe the first few weeks working together when you first took the ELI assessment? For people who don't know, we do an attitudinal assessment at the start, and then you get a workbook as well, which is called the Foundations Workbook, which is for you to really help you embed the learning that you're doing with me as we go through. So tell me, how did that first 3 weeks working, or 4 weeks working together, how was that for you? And how did those things we just mentioned, the attitude and assessment and the work, but how did they help you?
Well, when I first signed up, obviously we did the ELI test. And when I saw the results of that, like you said, there's no right or wrong result or answer for it. But I could actually see from the results. And even when I was answering the questions, that I was answering them from a very negative perspective, because that's how I felt at the time. And I couldn't be anything but honest with it, because otherwise what's the point? And I was just like, my goodness, they were all at such low numbers, and that's not good. That's really not good. And then I said, obviously,
that is normal, to be fair.
You
weren't no different from anybody else.
Yeah, that's good to know.
Yeah.
And then obviously started. You gave me the book, and I started reading through it, and it's all yes at first. Okay, yes, I do this. I definitely do that. And then I started doing the sessions with you. And honestly, the first couple of weeks, we brought this up in the sessions. I was like at the point where I was thinking, maybe it was an impatient thing, or I don't know, because I'm very impatient. But I was like, it's not working like I want it to work. Come on, but and then I realised actually it's because I'm not putting enough work in. And when we had, I think it was like the third or fourth session in, I was like, but I'm still feeling like this. And you're like, doing your coaching bit that you do very well, by the way, and giving me these little tasks to do throughout the week. Even when I'm at work, just noting down certain things as they're happening in my brain. And but that's when the book comes in. It's like my Bible now, honestly. It's like,
it brings you to awareness, doesn't it? It helps you sort of focus on those things.
It's an amazing tool to help you practice. Just if you've got a thought that comes in which is something that you don't want to be thinking, it's quite negative, it's non-productive, and then suddenly you become aware of that thought, and you think, well, how can I change it? You refer to the book. What energy level, if you were looking at this situation from a different energy level, how would that then feel?
Exactly.
What is the belief that the limiting belief that you're telling yourself? It's not actually
you described to me an excellent example of that before we started, actually, today, where you said to when you're working today, you said to me, you tell it. When you're at work.
So I was at work today, and not today, yesterday. And as you know, I work in education recruitment. The school called me up, but I don't really do a lot of work with the school. I have done like little bits here and there, but she said to me, look, we've been let down. We need a maths teacher to start in January, and it's a full year contract. And she said, I know it's a bit of a long shot, being said the schools are closed now for Christmas. Do you have anybody? And in my brain, I was thinking, I haven't got anybody. But I said to her, look, can you just give me an hour? Just give me 1 hour, and I will do whatever I can for you. Just don't put this out to anybody else. Just give me 1 hour. And she went, okay, you've got an hour. And I was like, okay, rattling my brain, what do I do? And then suddenly I remembered, actually, I do have somebody that's able to do this, but I know that he's a very, very expensive. And when I called him up, and he said yes, he was available to do it, but this is my price. And I was like, God, they're never going to go for that. They're never going to do it. They're not going to do it. I know they're not. And so with that, I was starting to message him back and started to say, do you know what, don't know, it's too expensive. I'm sorry. We'll talk to you again another time. And like mid text, I was like, hang on a second. How do you know that they're not going to pay? How do you know? That's just what you're telling yourself. You're assuming
Exactly. It's a
that's
limiting
what the
belief.
outcome is going to be.
Yeah.
Why don't you try asking them first? Right. So I
How
thought,
often do we do this? I mean, if you look back over your life, how often do we tell ourselves something, an assumption, and we create a story in our mind, and we talk ourselves out of whether it's that, something like you've just described, or another situation, any situation in life, and we don't move forward in life because we've already convinced ourselves that this is not going to work, or it's not happening, or we assume something else is going to happen, and then
well, so I called the school. I called them up and I said, look, I was within the hour as well, by the way. I think it was within 15 minutes. And I said, look, I do have an option. You know, this is a highly experienced teacher. He's not cheap. But then again, you are asking for a maths teacher on the end of December to start in January. So, you know, and I said, but he's available, he's local. This is the bare minimum I can do it for you for. And it was a big, it was the same minimum.
You said earlier, you wish you charged more.
And I was like, almost like cringing as I said it. And she went, oh, that's fine. Yeah, we'll pay that. And I went, brilliant. And that job done. He's got him into an interview.
What did that teach you, that situation? What did that teach you about your original thinking, your limiting beliefs?
That actually, that was one of my limiting beliefs. You assumed that was going to be the case without even trying.
We don't know.
Had you have stuck to that assumption, you wouldn't have done that deal. That deal went in today. The contract starts in January.
Yeah.
And you know, and it just goes to show, like, you just got to believe in yourself.
Well, yeah,
and just
be aware of the thinking. I mean, when we feel low, we see everything from those low level of energies, as you well know. And if we're not aware of that, we're not aware of the thoughts that are coming through our subconscious, such as limiting beliefs, assumptions, fears, all of those sort of things, which influence what we then create as perspectives, and that leads us to whatever we're doing. So, as you well know, also, I give all my clients a money back guarantee if they haven't experienced dramatic changes to their thoughts and their feelings within the first month of working together.
Yeah.
Now, can describe? I mean, obviously, your first month. It's the same for every client. It's like, because you're starting something new, it's like learning a new language when you first start working, doing this process. So it's normal and natural. It's not going to go straight away. You're not going to suddenly adapt to it like instantly, but it takes about 3 or 4 sessions, like you said, before you start feeling it and seeing it and recognizing it. Now, in your case, I mean, after that first month, you started being much more aware of things. You're recognizing things easier. Obviously, the book helped you, but you become more conscious of that, and you become much more conscious of your limiting beliefs and things that were stopping you moving forward. So, can you? Was there anything else that you could, identify that had changed the way you were thinking, feeling after that first month? I mean, I noticed that you were, and you won't mind me saying this, is that you at first, when we first met, you were struggling a bit for confidence and self-belief.
Massively.
You weren't focused as much as you were at work as you are now, and your figures were suffering as a result. You wanted to work on accepting yourself as well as your past. So there was all of these areas that were issues for you. Now, as you move forward past that first month into the next month and so on, how do you feel that those areas that you're now been working on, consistently, changed?
Oh God, hugely. And and that's because I have put the work in, as you say. It's like, it's not going to work if you don't put the work in yourself. And as we were going back to your previous question, how do you feel it worked in the first few weeks? That's when I was like, when it wasn't working, I wanted it to, and that's because I wasn't working.
This is it.
And when I think of how I feel now compared to this time, how long have we been doing it for? 4 or 5 months now?
4 months, I think we've been working now. We've got 2 months of the 6 months left, and then we'll go from there.
God. I mean, my ability now to shift any kind of negative or counterproductive thoughts now is almost coming to me like second nature.
Yeah.
Like, whereas before I was pregnant, I still, don't get me wrong, it's not perfect. I still have
You
to
always
work
won't be. You're a
with
human being. I mean, even
it.
I've been doing it. You won't ever going to be perfect. We're not going to suddenly change our thinking. You're always going to have stress reactions. You're always going to have fears. And so
Yeah,
it's about being more aware of it and how we can deal with it
it's like my
rather than get
perceptions.
rid of it.
I mean, when I'm looking at even when I'm on the road driving, I used to get such bad road rage.
Yeah.
But now I'm looking at things from different perspectives. Like, okay, there's no point in getting angry at them, because all that's going to do is bring you down in your mood.
Exactly. Yeah.
And where's it going to get you?
Lowers your energy, doesn't it? And
I'm seeing opportunities arise, like things that I was blind to before, because I just
focusing on the problem.
I was always focusing on the problems.
Mm.
And my energy levels, my confidence, my motivation, they speak for itself. I mean, you
Oh
can
yeah. I mean, again, I mean, I think, you said to me, I've said to you, there's lots of people who've said to you, the change is clear as anything. I mean, someone just commented, I think Louise commented, saying she's seen a massive change in you. I think everybody has. I mean, anyone who knows you has seen the change in you as you train up. And that's not just you. I mean, that's pretty much everybody I've worked with. I'm not blowing my own trumpet, but that's true. I mean, it's true. I mean, because it's not so much me. It's like you said, it's you who does the work. I guide you. I show you how to do this. I teach you this philosophy and the way of being, and I help you, guide you through it. But I can't make you do it. It's like leading a horse to the water. You can't force the water to drink. I can show you what to do. I can give you the workbook and tell you how to do all of this stuff. But if you don't do it, it doesn't work. It's like anything. And but if you do it, you're a perfect example of what to expect, because you
thank you.
put the work in, and you're now reaping the rewards for that. And that's just the start. You know,
what I mean, it's just been such a turnaround. Like, my work is through the roof. I'm hitting my target.
Yeah, you beat what was it that you hit the best ever target? Didn't you?
I had my best ever week last week.
Yeah.
Just like 6 months ago, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to lose my job.
Yeah, you were worried about losing your job. Now you're smashing the targets.
It's just amazing.
So,
just like being aware. But it's what's more important is, I mean, I'm not living in the past anymore. I don't, because that's what I used to do. I'm not focusing on the future. Okay, I know what I want in the future, but
goals,
being present, as you know, which is what teaches you. There's no point. You can't change the past. It's happened. Right? There's nothing you can do about it. It's done. Like, move on from it. The future, that's not happened yet.
Exactly, you're creating it now.
Yeah, but this is what it teaches me. Don't get me wrong, my mind does still drift. I'll give myself a couple of
Well, it's normal. It's normal to worry and overthink. We're human beings. We're never going to stop doing that.
And if anybody that knows me knows that I am the world's worst overthinker. I will think, I'm wondering what time Jesus is going to have dinner at 3 o'clock. It's ridiculous. But they're the sort of things that overpower you, and it just brings on anxiety. And for me, that's worry and panic.
Yeah. Well, how often do worries ever come true? All worries are projections of our fears. And if we're working on our fears like we've done, I mean, one of the 4 main blocks, as you well know, is fears and limiting beliefs, assumptions, interpretations, and fears. Now, if we're letting our fears run our lives for us, we're just creating this worst scenario all the time, which is a load of nonsense because it never actually happens. Yeah. And we're never in the moment. We're too busy looking at the past, worrying about and blaming ourselves and full of guilt because of things that have happened in the past that we can't change, or worrying about what might happen in the future, but we're never actually living our lives in the moment. Yeah. And as soon as you become aware of that and stop those 2 elements going on and be more focused in the moment, you start living life. And I think last week I asked you in our session to rate yourself in each of the 6 core areas that we work on. And you rated yourself pretty much 8 out of 9 in every single area, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
So generally it was an 8 or 9 out of in your general well-being, 8 out of 9. So in terms of the value over costs, we talked about at the beginning when you're looking at the cost versus value, in terms of value over cost, what would you now say the true value of this investment that you've put in?
Oh my God, it's the best investment I've ever made. Yeah. I now, when I look back, I say, why did you not do this sooner? But that's in hindsight. It's the what ifs about. I've done it.
Done it now. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I would never look back, because of all the things that I've tried to do to help myself have never worked, and I needed somebody like you to make me accountable, to help me, to
Well,
guide
you've
me.
done the work, not me. I mean, this again
No,
is, I mean, I've helped you, but you've done the work.
but I wouldn't have done it without you. That's what I'm saying. And I wouldn't have. There's just no simple way of doing it. So for me, the price is irrelevant now. It's invaluable. It's,
well, it is when you look back
can't put a price on your mental health. You can't put a price on your happiness, and you can't put a price on your, on being successful. It is just, my whole way of thinking. I feel like I'm somebody else now. Like,
well, you've transformed your life. I mean, listen, like I said, everybody who knows you has said it. Because you're beaming all the time, you're happy all the time, you're living in the moment all the time, you're creating the life as you choose.
Yeah.
And that's what this is all about. It's creating the life as you choose in the moment and living the life as you want. And that's exactly why this stuff is invaluable, and rather than looking at it from the cost perspective, it's going to cost me a few quid like at the start, when you look back, the question is, what's the true value of it, and what current approach costing you now in terms of your emotional, I'll just put it up there, your mental and emotional, what's your true cost to approach right now for you, exactly. And if you look at the two in that perspective, it's a completely different thing. So if you, to wrap up, because we're nearly getting to the end now, people get bored of us in a while, but finally, what sort of, if someone was considering doing this, and they were in the position that you were, money's tight, they're not sure if it's going to work, they're not sure if they can do the work, or they've got reasons not to, or they might have problems in like time or whatever it may be. What advice would you give to someone who's questioning whether it's worthwhile investing in the same process that you've done as we enter the new year?
I would say, look, it's only natural to question it. I did the exact same. But if you want that change, if you want to feel better in yourself, if you want that confidence, and you can do it, you've got it within you to do it. Just go for it and don't wait any longer. Just it's the sooner you do it, the better. And like I had those those money concerns before, but I would do it again and again and again if it meant that I can continue feeling the way that I'm feeling now, and the confidence that I have. My mental state is the best it's ever been, and just everything, my achievements, the way I'm moving on in life now. I'd never ever envisioned me having this now. And
it's only the start. You've only been working with 4 months as well, so the future is whatever you want it to be, and that's the beauty of this stuff. I mean, it really is the start, and thank you, because it's been a pleasure working with you, and it validates what I do as well when I have people like yourself come on and demonstrate that this stuff works, because it does, and I've transformed my life using it. The clients I work with have transformed their lives, and I wish more people would see that and understand that, because it is transformational. It really is, as long as you do the work. And that's why it's so important. You've got an open mind. You're a very clever girl. You've come into it with an open mind. You've put the work in. Yeah, it was difficult at first, and that's normal. But as you get into the process, as you get into the flow of it, and you start using the book, as you said, and looking at the structure of the philosophy that we actually use, it all falls into place, doesn't it? And bit by bit, it's like a jigsaw puzzle. Everything starts working. And you've done really good. So before we finish this, I'd like to finish by asking you, have you got anything more to add that you'd like to add before we finish?
Just keep on with your great work. I mean, I'm going to carry on with you.
Good,
but,
I hope so.
And, just thank you, and for guiding me along the way here, and making me accountable when I was slacking.
That's my job. But that's the one thing I will mention, actually. You've highlighted a good point. There's different levels to what I do. There's levels where I don't charge as much, but the level that we're doing, it's 24/7. It's not like I just see you once a week and say goodbye at the end of that one session. It's 24/7. I'm there all the time. Even if it's at midnight, I'll be there to help you whatever it is. And so it's a 24/7 process. For 6 months, you've got me pushing you, helping you, guide you, teach you, help you get you whatever you want out of your life. And it works. I mean, this is why I'm so dedicated to my job. It's because I love it. I'm passionate about it. And when I see people getting the results that you're getting, that's what makes it worthwhile for me.
Excellent.
But thank you again for coming on tonight. And, it's been a real pleasure. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks,
And
Mark.
for anyone else watching, I'll be back next time. Hopefully another guest. So thanks, Mel. Have a great Christmas, and I'll see you all next time. See you soon. Bye. Bye. All right, there we go. Oh, I haven't cut it off.